Well, welcome everyone. It's so exciting to see you. I see lots of old friends and lots of new folks to meet. We've got a wonderful series this year, the Creativity and Innovation in Music for Hospice and Healthcare. This is the second year that we have gone virtual with our workshops. And we have a wonderful list of artists and clinicians who will be presenting each month for us on the second Saturday. I'm Kathleen Blackwell-Plank. I'm the director of the Interlude Music Program with Hospice and Palliative Care of Cabarrus County. My background has been in music and in social work. I studied violin at the North Carolina School of the Arts. I was a member of the Charlotte Symphony, and then a little bit later in life, went back to graduate school and got my master's in social work and began a career path working with older adults, and then over 22 years in hospice care. But I've been able to weave together the loves of my life, music and art, and working with people. My training in therapeutic music is through the Harps for Healing program. And I'm just so glad that you're all here today for this workshop. Our guest artist today is Kim Robertson. She comes so talented as an arranger, a performer, a teacher, much beloved by many of you, I know. So with that said, we're going to get started. First, I will be talking a little bit about the therapeutic qualities of the music that we'll be learning today, these extremely slow airs that Kim has chosen for us. So we'll be looking at these therapeutic qualities of the extremely slow airs and would welcome your input as well. We'll take time at a couple of points for questions and answers today. Well, let me see if I can get this to advance. For some reason, let me try that again. I'm going to stop sharing and we're going to go to it one more time. All right, first I'd like to share with you the theory of Clore and Ortony about emotions, categories of emotions. They have divided that into three categories: outcome emotions, such as happiness and sadness, or aesthetic emotions on a continuum of like to dislike, or moral emotions, such as praise and scorn. While representing all three, music is most adept at expressing or inducing outcome emotions along the happy, sad spectrum. Induced emotion.
Kathleen?
Yes.
Would you share your screen if you're able to now?
Okay, thank you. Just a moment. We'll try this once again. All right, can you see it now?
Yes.
Oh, good. Very good. Thank you. So music uses
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but could you just repeat the three different emotions you just expressed? Because I was writing them down and I couldn't write fast enough.
Okay.
Sorry.
The outcome emotions, they're on a continuum from happiness to sadness. The aesthetic emotions, that's like and dislike of things, and the moral emotions such as praise to scorn. Now, these are spectrums, but music is the most adept at expressing or inducing the outcome emotions. And these induced emotions that we experience when we're listening to music, these are true emotions. Now, music uses a number of tools to represent emotion. Register, such as the highness or lowness of pitch, tempo, in other words, how fast or how slow, rhythm, whether it's a smooth or dotted rhythm or various types of rhythmic expression, volume, such as loudness and softness of music, modes, which include major and minor. And then today we'll be learning a lot about Celtic modes, or what are sometimes called the church modes. The timbre of the instrument or the voice, the quality, the unique kind of quality of sound that that instrument or voice makes. And articulation, such as legato, very smooth articulation, or staccato. And what about mood? Music is used extensively to influence mood, both in therapeutic and everyday situations. And we can utilize types of music for impacting mood. And the music psychologists have divided this into two categories: the homeopathic, or treating like with like. For example, eliminating a negative state by playing negative sounding music. Or allopathic, treating like with contrary, eliminating a negative state by playing a positive sounding music. And we know as therapeutic musicians that we always have to assess the situation to determine what strategy that we want to use. We've all probably experienced being angry and somebody trying to joke with us to get us out of that, and that making us even angrier. Or sometimes that works to do that. And the same is true with music. As therapeutic musicians, we're looking at the levels of arousal that we want to have from our patients. Sometimes our goal is to reduce the level of arousal. For example, with hospice patients who may be experiencing anxiety or pain, we want to reduce that, produce a more restful, more sedative kind of environment. The high arousal we might want for somebody who was post-surgery, is waking up from anesthesia, or for a dementia patient who maybe has very flat affect and kind of not connecting. Sometimes that more higher arousal type music may help them connect and engage. So in general, we think of high arousal with happiness, with higher pitch notes, with faster tempo. So you see how that works. And low arousal sometimes is associated with sadness, but lower pitch, slower tempo, etc. Now, a few other important factors we want to think about. What music is most therapeutic? The patient's music of choice. All our work is very patient-centered, so that personal preference is key in terms of what music is going to connect best. Other factors include the cultural or the social context. In other words, it might be our ethnic background or other communities that we are part of. And music that we associate with ritual, things like religious music, music at weddings or funerals or graduation, these nodal events in life, we tend to resist change. We like those things to stay more the same. They're not quite as creative, perhaps, or innovative sometimes as other types of music. Well, the music we'll be looking at today is in that resting heart rate music that used to promote calm, the 60 to 80 beats per minute. Research has shown that this slows racing hearts and respiration rates, promotes relaxation, and can ease pain and anxiety. The modal Celtic music we'll be looking at is wonderful for therapeutic music. The primary modes that are used in Celtic music are the Ionian, the Dorian, the Mixolydian, and the Aeolian. Each mode has a distinctive sound and tone color. In Western music, we're most familiar with our major and minor sound, but modes offer us very individual tweaks of these sounds that are very interesting and can be very soothing. So one of music's most unique ways of conveying emotion is through the use of these modes. So the Ionian mode is one we all know by ear. It's the C major scale. It's sometimes called the maternal mode because listeners may experience feelings of being safe, sheltered, secure. Many lullabies are written in the Ionian mode, and to Western modern ears, it sounds cheerful. Now, interestingly, in the research I did in the church modes, in the medieval times, like Dorian mode was very popular in church modes. They thought the major third that we hear in Ionian mode led to laziness, slothfulness. So they had a whole different understanding. And they thought the minor third in Dorian mode and in minor scales was much more religious and sacred than the major third. So that was an interesting tidbit I found. Well, lullabies are a wonderful genre for therapeutic music. They're found throughout the world. That rocking motion is soothing. It connects us to memories of comfort and nurture and promotes relaxation. And there'll be a couple of lullabies among the songs that we are looking at today. Now, the Aeolian mode is in the minor mode family. It's the one we recognize as our A natural minor scale. It can elicit a sense of longing or melancholy, sadness or lamentation. It can create a feeling of distance or uncertainty or questioning. In terms of nature images that come to mind when we hear this music, it may remind us of gray weather, sunset, winter, cold, or snow. Feelings of loss or farewells or travel may come up. And if you think about end of life, these are certainly emotions and moods and thoughts that are close to what a patient or a family member may be experiencing. So sometimes joining like with like, that this could be a very soothing experience for a patient. The Mixolydian mode is built on the fifth tone of the scale, so starting on G, and it falls into the group of major modes. It has a bright, cheerful lightness of sound, and also may inspire thoughts of outdoors, but a very different type of outdoor experience. Then a few other therapeutic music considerations. Always, we're assessing and adapting to a patient or a caregiver's changing needs during our sessions. In general, the middle or lower ranges of notes, the pitches, are more soothing. However, if we're working with children or in a NICU with infants, research has shown children may be more responsive to higher pitches. So again, we have to adapt to the setting where we're working. Triple meters such as 3/4 or the compound meter of 6/8 can create that comforting, rocking, swaying motion. Now, in just a few minutes, Kim will be talking with us about utilizing simple, calming, rhythmic patterns in the bass so that the resonance of the harp comes through. And she'll also look at how we can transition from a tune to a modal improvisation, because many times in our therapeutic setting, that may be what needs to happen according to patient needs. And then finally, some characteristics of these particular songs that we'll be looking at today are interesting. The Mermaid song, that 6/8 quality creates the feeling of a calm sea swell. So it's another version of that swaying, rocking feel. Then we've got a devotional or hymn type piece. Then Bridget O'Malley, An Unrequited Love. There's a second Breton lullaby, and that one isn't in a triple meter, but the melodic pattern creates that sense of rocking. And again, in Tutuig, we have that lulling rhythm joined with a descending bass line that drops you down like you're descending into sleep or falling asleep. And then the last one there is the lament of a soldier husband that's far away. So it's helpful to understand the history of the tunes a little bit. And then I've included some resources for you on the modes in therapeutic music. And I will share a link to the PowerPoint with you when I do send out the recordings. Now, at this point, I want to stop and see if there are any questions or comments before we transition over to things with Kim. All right. Well, let me turn things over now to Kim. And we're so delighted that you're here to share with us. Thank you so much, Kim.
My pleasure. Hi, everybody. Yeah, can you all hear me okay? I'll try to speak slowly. I didn't have very much coffee this morning. Those of you who know me well, you probably thought, why is she teaching extremely slow airs? Because I'm a very hyper person, which is exactly why I need to play slow airs. So just a little disclaimer, I'm not a therapeutic musician. I'm not trained in modes or any of this stuff. I'm just a Celtic harpist. And but as I continue my career, the older I get and the longer I played the harp, I just want to play more slowly. I don't want to play faster. I'm not trying to get as many notes in as possible or play as fast as a fiddle. And how many of you think it's harder to play quickly than slowly? Most people think that playing fast is the hardest part of harp. No, it's actually much harder to play slowly, to play well slowly. I guess that's what I should say first. So, so before we get started on the tunes, I play mostly Celtic festivals, Irish fests and Scottish festivals, stuff like that. And if it's an intimate setting, where I can talk to the audience, I often take time for requests. And I have to say, not once, unless one of my students was there to torture me and asked me to play Caroline's Concerto or something really hard. If it's just regular people, they always ask for a slow piece for requests. They never say, play Handel's Concerto or or even if they never say play Orange Blossom Special or any of those fiddle tunes, they want to hear something slow, because that's why people are drawn to the harp. So that's a little commercial plug for playing slowly as well. Even if you're not a therapeutic musician, people love the sound of the harp, and if you play slowly and play cleanly, you can hear the full resonance of the harp, and that's why it has that magic effect on people, including the player, which is the reason I do it. Totally. I'm totally into self-therapy, even if I'm not trained in therapeutic music. So we're going to get started on the worksheets, if you all had those printed out or on your iPad there. And the first one we're going to do is the Mermaid Song. You just need one F sharp. You don't need a C sharp. It's in mixed Lydian mode, so it's like a D scale with a flatted seventh, which is the characteristic of a mixed Lydian mode. C naturals. So this is more of just a little sampler. I'm just going to show you these different tunes and then show you a few ideas for left hands, which are universal. Just because we're not covering a bunch of songs doesn't mean you can't use these same patterns in any application, the same key signature, time signature. So, and feel free to steal them. You can't really copyright a left-hand pattern, so don't feel like this is my property. I'm sharing this because these are things that I use for my students and I've used in my own arrangements. But we're gonna just work from ear today. So if you've already looked at the worksheet and can't do both, just work on the left hand for now while we're trying it. But let's try the right hand first, though. Let's try the. You want to all make sure you're all muted too, so that we don't get a lot of feedback. So let's just play the melody. It's a little bit weird that has the Scottish rhythms, where it's sometimes it's ta ti and other times it's ti ta. In fact, a good way to start playing any piece is look at it before you actually play on the harp. Look at the notes and just tap it on your sounding board, and that'll help you do two things. That'll help you learn the rhythm, and it'll also help you discover the lilt of a piece, the inner rhythm, the rhythmic cadence of a piece. So let's just do that for a little second, and you'll see where the tricky one comes in. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ta ta. And if you don't want to tap, you can just say ta ti like that. Ta ti ta ti ti ta ta ti ta ti ta ti ti ta 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 ti ta ta ti ti ta. So it's a little unpredictable, isn't it? It's not like American music where it's nice and 4/4 country. So if you miss a couple of those, don't even worry about it. I probably won't be looking at the worksheet the whole time, so I might do them differently every time. And if you're a singer and we're playing, there are words to this, you might be changing it every verse anyway to fit the lyrics, which is true of a lot of hymns too, you've probably noticed. They're trying to fit in all the syllables, so they change the melody. So that's perfectly acceptable. You don't have to, this is not, written in stone here, so feel free to be free. So try it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just gonna play a D drum. You can see. D. Yeah, I mean, some of you might not know this. Isn't that beautiful? It's something about that mixolydian mode, just like Kathleen was saying, it just sounds like the ocean. I didn't even play any of the chords at first, except the D and the C, and that's probably what I would do throughout and save up some of the chord changes. So these chord changes are probably for later in the arrangement. So just to get into that whole flow feeling, because this piece is hard to play musically because it's kind of a lot of repeated notes, and it's just odd, for our ears anyway, if you don't know it, and if you're not a singer especially. So this is kind of corny, but if you want to think about water, this is the best way to do it. Play glissando up and down. So on the count of 6, so it's 1, 2, 3, and on the 4, come on down. 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. So I'm coming up with my second finger and going down with my thumb. If you've never done circle glissandos before, I don't know if you're allowed to do this in therapeutic music, but I hope I won't get a ticket for doing this. At 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And a C chord. the song. Great. So you see how that by doing that, I mean, it's a little bit, what do you call that? A twee, what they call a corny idea. That's cliche on the harp. But hey, why did we get a harp anyway? So we could go like that, right? I mean, we all love doing that secretly. I know I used to have a glissando police, so people do it too often. But for an intro like this, it actually slows you down because you're filling all that space. Because that's part of the hard part about playing slow, that we don't like leaving the empty space. We want to fill it with chords. You know, you want to go. So suddenly I'm playing it faster and filling it with chords. What does it sound like now? Ordinary, you know, it doesn't have that magic mermaid ocean waves feeling anymore. It just sounds, you know, suddenly it could be an Irish jig or anything like that. So that what you want to hear is that, so without even playing any left hand, let's go like this, D, 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 D. Now do that down here with your left hand. Now let's go back to the glissandos with right hand. Yeah, so there I played an octave from my 4-1. Notice my hand is open too. That's so I can mute the string. I don't want to hear all that rumbling around in there, so I have my hand up. And then when I change, I'm dropping just the fourth finger to a C. Hear that? And if you can hear the low notes very well, but D, D, C, D. Yeah. It's interesting what Kathleen said about the children not responding as well to low notes. I was playing for a kid the other day, and he goes, I don't like those low notes because it was bothering his ears, so he wanted me to play the high notes. So that was interesting that there's actually a reason for that. They just, I guess it hurts their ears. The frequencies don't appeal to their what do you call it, pure ears or something. But I love the low notes, but I'm old and dark and twisty. So anyway, when I say play chord, all the way through these songs we're going to go through, please play open chords. So that means an open fifth or a D, A, D, open fifth with an octave, D, A, or just an octave or a single note. Don't play the third in the middle. Why not? Because I said so. Yeah, it makes it too modern. See how it makes it sound, and listen to the difference. It just lets the harmonics of the string flow better. Now I do add thirds sometimes in the right hand harmony, but never in the left hand. The harps are so sustaining down there, you want to leave that open. So this is just the general rule. So when I play a chord, I mean an open fifth or an octave. I should have qualified that. And if you don't have the low D, just move it all up. I can't see, some of you might be on small harps too, so then I just move everything up an octave. Okay, now we're going to try playing through it with the chords as written. If you want to try playing along, if you can't do both, play the left hand. 1, 2, 3, and start with the D. I did it wrong, don't mind me. You can do this as an interlude if you want. Now try it up an octave. How'd you sound? I wish I could hear you. I was telling Kathleen what I missed the most about this pandemic year is hearing all the harps playing these beautiful melodies together in the same room. That's the only thing you don't get on Zoom. On the other hand, you're probably a lot more brave with that mute button on, so I'm glad you're here. So this piece is deceptively hard. You know, it's like, it looks easy. It's just a bunch of, not that the melodic range isn't even very great, isn't it? This works well on a small harp, and it was easy to play up an octave, wasn't it? Some pieces aren't. What's the hard part about this piece? The rhythm, right? It's kind of crooked. And what else is hard about it? I guess the fact that it's kind of repetitive. So you need to build that phrase. You need to decide, you know, where's the loudest part in that beautiful second half. There has to be like a culmination there. These are my chords, by the way. Not everybody plays these chords the same way, but this is just my choice for this handout. And then here at the end, what did I do with the left hand at the end? I stopped playing chords and I did what? I actually doubled the melody. And this is another underused technique on harp. A lot of you are always playing chords in left hand. It sounds so amazing to play in unison, just to have the two hands in unison, especially up high, because just what she was saying, that these are I ended the whole, I think the last three measures, the last two measures. You know, I'm not going to do a big finish. You know, this is. I just ruined the magic, didn't I? Yeah. I was having lunch with these lovely ladies one time, and this really kind of this guy that I knew, he came up and started bragging about him. He just walked up to our table uninvited, started bragging about himself, and walked away. And the woman, she was Australian. She goes, "Oh, good heavens! He just scared away all the fairies." I love that image. So if you do something egotistical, you know, as a musician, if you ruin the magic, you scare away the fairies. So don't make it be about you. You just want it to be about this beautiful melody. You could do the whole thing in unison if you wanted. I like that too. Now, if those of you who are performers, and some of you are also, you know, you don't just play therapeutic settings, you also play gigs and weddings and things. These are all viable. You just have to you know, add more stuff to them. But you still want to keep that slow feeling, you know. I might do something like this. I'm doing a crosshand arpeggio. I'm going D-A-G, if you want to try it. And then go E-A-D. Try that. E-A-D. And I promise I won't spend this much time on every piece, but I just wanted to get in the mood here. This is one of my favorites. So E-A-D. Try that. And then I cross my hand over. A-D. And back the way you came. Everybody got it? Here it is real slow. D-A-D. E-A-D. A-D. And then I'm just going to drop the fourth finger and nothing else is going to change. And I notice this is faster though. This is suddenly I'm adding a little bit of 16th note stuff. So you want it to sound like a glissando. Don't articulate the notes. You don't want to. It's not classical music. This is not a cadenza. So you don't want to hear. You don't want to articulate. Just want it to be a little wash, almost like that thing we were doing before. So here it is again. I guess I am changing my crossover. Anyway, be free with it. And then when you come back to the melody, you could take everything away again because you created this feeling of supporting the rhythm without speeding up the rhythm. I call it the chariots of fire technique. Do you remember that movie? It was about these two Olympian runners, and the theme was that was the theme. Yeah, I don't remember much else. details of it, but all I remember is that theme, and they had this sound underneath it, this drum lilt, subdividing. So the melody was totally uncluttered, but this kept going and it created the tension. And then they showed the runners slowing in slow motion, running to this music. So I always use that technique, that idea of subdividing. If anything's going too fast, you know, if you feel like you're rushing, and you will know if you tape yourself. And that was my dirty little secret. I used to rush everything. And a lot of my early recordings I'm not very proud of. I mean I had, you know, not that you should burn them, but it's just that that was not rhythm. And you know how it is when you're performing too, you get nervous and you start speeding up, especially when you have a long note, you're already thinking ahead. So this is a good technique. So you're gonna subdividing, so that's what that is, and that's what this is. So you're subdividing, you're spreading beautiful ocean waves over the whole phrase. And so whatever works for you, whether it's math, you know, do the math and work out the rhythm, or have use an image like the ocean waves, the coming in and out of the shore, or I think anything nature is a really good teacher, teaching us how to do that natural phrasing. But it does take practice. So this is just because they're easy songs doesn't mean you're going to sound amazing on them. I don't know what the standard is for therapeutic musicians, but I just want to say, if I'm ever in a coma and any of you harpists want to visit my bedside, you better know how to play these songs, because I don't want to hear some bad harpists play them. You know, you want to make sure it's still musically expressive. It's not about just the notes and the rhythm. It's also about being expressive and saying something beautiful. And by the way, I haven't researched the pulses, so I don't know if I'm going too fast as far as your 60 to 80 criteria. But so you just, you know, as she was saying, you adjust these to your work, to whatever your particular client needs. So, all right, moving on. Now we're looking at, I don't know how to say Gaelic, but Bielosa Imkrosa, something. I have a student who speaks Gaelic. She's always trying to help me. She's 15. Yeah, she already speaks like 4 languages. But the English translation is Jesus be in my heart. And I heard, you know how the first impression of a piece can affect you. I didn't know this piece, and I was just scrolling around looking for Celtic hymns, Celtic Christmas hymns, and I heard a YouTube version of this, of a bunch of monks singing it in a church, or maybe they're priests. I'm not sure if they're monks, but they were, they might have just been priests. But anyway, they're just all guys singing it in a church. It's of course a beautifully acoustic church, and there was no accompaniment. They were just singing it together, all the melody a cappella, and that was the first time I heard this melody. And of course, they were doing it very slowly. It was just so gorgeous, you know. Oh, they were lower though, so they're men. Yeah, they were doing slower, but we're going to try it now, just really slowly. And if you're more advanced harpist, try it with both hands and see if you can do that in unison. It's a really good exercise, if nothing else. And we're going to do it slower. And then this is one of those pieces that sounds good any tempo. If you want to also use it for a church setting or something, you can play it faster. It's quite a rousing hymn as well. Because once I started doing the research stuff, there's a million versions of this out there. So, or at least 20. So anyway, all of these, if you like it, want to learn to do your own research. But these are my quick impressions and my chords for them. So let's try it. It's 3/4. 1, 2. Pretend you're a monk singing it. That was even a little too fast, so now I'm going to add the chords, and let's just play open fifth, I guess. Nothing major. Nothing major. It's a minor chord, but nothing complex. Just an open fifth or an octave. We'll keep it a little slower. 1, 2. this one really lends itself to improvisational interludes as well. I know that some of you are into that, so you can take any of the chords, or just even E to G, A, C. That's one I use a lot. And, I shouldn't reveal the source, but I use it for Christmas Carol too. It's those of you old enough to know the song of the House of the Rising Sun. Remember that? There is a house in New Orleans I call the rising sun. Yeah, I'm old, but it was a great old song, and I used to play guitar and sing it around the campfire. So these things stick in your psyche, you know. So now I use that a lot for an interlude on a harp. It's actually quite beautiful. Now the song. See how it works? Yeah, I use it for We Three Kings as well, a Christmas arrangement. All right, so what's the expression? Good swiping is an art in itself. And as I said, you can't really steal a chord pattern, so why not? Especially if it's in your blood, right? So so if you look at the piece, we didn't do the tapping exercise. What do you see? I mean, if just looking at those little black dots on the page, what do you see? Even if you don't read music, what do you notice? There's the quarter notes, and then the eighth notes. You see that? That's, you know, quarter, quarter, eighth, quarter, quarter, eighth, quarter, quarter, triplet, like that. So that's the recurring pattern. And then the second half, you have these descending groups of 4 eighth notes, and those are the ones that are hard not to rush. A quarter note, excuse me, eighth notes or 16th notes going down, we tend to rush because of gravity, and they're easier to play going down. So be sure you hold back a little bit on those. Don't go. You don't want to go just the opposite, almost slow them down a little. So as far as a rhythm to get going for the left hand, did you notice in the little interlude I was showing you? That's going E, B, E, rest, or you could go. When that's what might be nice on this piece as, no, I think let's leave it that, because that eighth note pattern is also on the third beat. So you have to look at, you want to leave space. If it's eighth notes in the right hand melody, you don't want to play a busy pattern in the left hand, because you want to keep just the opposite. You want to create space for the important melody. So those are quarter notes. So there we could do eighth notes in left hand. Let's try a left hand pattern. 1, 2, E, B, E, C, G, C. Now it's just straight A, E, B, E. Okay, let's try that with the melody if you can do both. You might want to come up an octave. It's kind of heavy, isn't it? Okay, 1, 2. Yeah, so you don't have time because there's a B. You have to just play. Extended triad. And if you've been doing that for the whole first half, then stop doing it. Let's just play open chords then. The melody is really busy there, so it's almost better to just play a big old chord in the left hand. I'll probably end it like the priest singing in church too. The other thing that's really effective if you have a big enough harp is play it in unison but 2 octaves apart. So instead of going actually spread your hands out like this to need some better light. You can even still use an open hand and a left hand. See how the harmonics of the strings start ringing away? You're leaving that space between them. They don't clash. And I'm sure a lot of you studied all this, the whole acoustics of music thing. It's what's important about the harp is the sustain. And if you get in the way of that, then you're also scaring away the fairies. You're scaring away the power of the harp by already, drowning it out. So you want to make sure you leave those strings ringing. So that's just a quick example of that. I actually have a whole written out arrangement of that if you're interested in this piece. I think it's gorgeous. And as I said, it can be played in many different settings and tempos and all that. Next one, and if you have any questions on any of these, please just interrupt. Kathleen will let me know because I don't have my glasses on. So next one, Bridget O'Malley, key C, you can take away F sharps. So this isn't really an arranging class, so I don't want to go on too much about all the patterns, but in general, when there's most of these Celtic pieces have two sections, the A part and the B part, and sometimes it starts on a B part and ends on a, they're not all symmetric. But personally, I like to create contrast between the sections because they are repetitive. There's no middle part, you just do it all over again, right? So if you create contrast, that will help the listener go on a journey with you instead of just sounding static. You want to take them on a journey. No matter what tempo, it's still a journey, right? It's not just, you're not just filling, you're not just making noise. You're actually, music happens within a space and time, and this is important to remember. Even if you don't know how long you're going to play it, I know that's part of your job. You have to ad lib if somebody wants to, they're longer or shorter. I haven't done a lot of hospital work at all, except, my mother used to work at the state hospital, the mental ward, was it the Alzheimer's ward? Yeah, I think so. And she made me play there every year when I was young, when I was first starting the harp, and it was just such a horrible experience for me because I was not used to these people not listening. I was used to everybody thinking I was so cool because I played the harp, and I was 18. I should have known better, but yeah. So it was one. And then later as an adult, I kept doing it because, of course, she inspired me to you have to give up yourself too, right? So that this person sitting right in the front row, I played a piece. Everybody's really, they love the music. They usually just love it. And she, after 3 songs, she said, "That's enough." I said, "Okay, well, I'm play a little more." And then she kept repeating, "That's enough, that's enough, that's enough." And I couldn't really play anymore because she had decided that was enough, and by God, she was right. I stopped playing and went up to visit with her. And turns out she thought I was her granddaughter, and so I went into this whole connection that if I continued to be a professional musician, I might have not been paying attention to. So, as I said, I'm not trained in this, but I think all you are. So it's this thing of listening and knowing when it's time to stop or when it's time to keep going. So in that respect, if you know the sections of the pieces, there's A part, there's B part, where are you going to end it if you do have to stop abruptly? Right? You don't want to ruin the mood for the other people who are enjoying it. So you have to create a game plan, so to speak, and an entrance and an exit to your pieces as well. And I also sometimes make transitions, interludes and stuff that I can go into another piece, and sometimes changing my levers like that. So that's the one little point that applies to all these songs. So next up, Bridget O'Malley. This is a gorgeous, very sad piece, sad love song. But it's in a major key, so that's why I think it's kind of a cool example. It's not necessarily an Ionian. It switches back and forth continually from the major to the minor, major, minor, major, minor, minor, major. See how it goes back and forth. So we get, if you're keeping score, I guess the minors win, but then it ends on a major key. And if you look at the lyrics, it's he's brokenhearted, but it still ends like that, So, and I talked to some Irish harp players, and they said, "You Americans, you think just because something's in a minor key, it's sad." Because Kathleen was talking about the cultural differences you need to learn, and she said, "We don't feel that way in Ireland. It was interesting about the minor third too. For historically, that was considered more powerful, and I kind of agree with that idea. I love minor keys, and many of us do. And but the Irish thing is, it's not sad. It's just part of life. So I think that's why they have these wakes where they're celebrating somebody's life. They're not sitting around in black. They're all wearing colorful clothes and dancing and playing fiddles, and it's never a dreary moment. And I played an Irish wake once here in where I live, the wife expressly said, no sad stuff, all right? And so, okay, and it's like, okay, so she was American, but that just meant it wasn't opus mopus, you know, we were allowed to play up tempo, we were allowed to play anything we wanted, really. So it's more about the spirit of it. So you can decide, and again, all these pieces, if you're not going to sing it, you can interpret it any way you want. And so let's play it, and just really beautiful, simple chords. I'm going to go C, G, C, E, B, E, F, C, F, and then or you could just play a fifth if you like. So let's make a little intro. We're gonna feature that idea of the major minor duality. So we're gonna start with C, then go to E minor. No, I don't like that. How about A minor? Yeah, that's good. C, A minor. Try that one more time. A minor. Remember that because we're going to use that as an interlude. Here we go. On the melodies. Ready, go. Interlude. A minor. Okay, try it again. I'm not going to look, I'm just going to read it. G, I'm doing a different interlude now. E, F, and G. One more time. So is it sad or happy? You decide, is that going to evoke an emotion in somebody? Probably, because it covers everything, doesn't it? It goes from major to minor. It has the beautiful melody that ascends and goes down again. I feel that's the beauty of and really the beauty of the Irish, the whole Celtic culture, is that the laughter and tears are so closely knit together, like their Celtic knotwork. It's all part of life, and they don't resist it the way sometimes other cultures do. It's not a bad thing to cry. I always feel it's a sign of success at a concert if I first of all can help somebody fall asleep in my concert. That's high praise, right? That means they're relaxed enough to be in a good space. Or if they start crying, I used to think that was a bad thing, and I realized no, you're creating a space for them to cry, and it's not my business how they're responding to it. That's their business. Now, this is not a hospital, so in your case, it is your business. So, yeah, that's a little scary. But anyway, is that gorgeous and the beautiful song? And let's move on. We have time. Breton lullaby. This time you need, let's skip. Let's go to while you're in a C tuning. Let's skip to tutuig, and then we'll skip and we'll do our sharp keys after that. So tutuig is as Kathleen said, Breton lullaby, and it's in Breton, which is really tricky. I don't know how to pronounce that at all. But I did find, I don't know if this is accurate. It certainly doesn't translate to the melody as far as trying to sing along, but I thought this is lovely. It's sleep, my little child, sleep. Your mommy's here, my little squirrel by your crib, my little pretty. Sleep, 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 my little child. Your mommy's here, my little lamb. So each time she uses a different animal, and then finally she says, sleep, my little child, sleep. Before she wept a lot, but today your mommy laughs. Well, that's interesting. Before she wept a lot, but today your mommy laughs. So mommy was weeping. Little postpartum song here. That could be it. Sleep, my little child, sleep. Time's come to close your little eyes. My wee one. You must rest your head. Sleep, my little child, sleep. Isn't that lovely? Little squirrel, little lamb. I just love that. Just lullabies are so universal. The lyrics are always somewhat nonsensical, but calming. You know. And this one it's in a 4/4. I mean 6/8, but it's a strange melody. It reminds me of the Irish lullaby Shula Run. Remember that one? It's featured also, the whole Civil War version of that as well. But this one is in 6/8, and I don't usually play those chords like that. It's a little lugubrious, Let's just play it once with the A minor drone. Try it first. And this one is tricky because of the repeated notes. So you don't want to play those equal. You don't want to go. Yeah, I do this. I use this piece a lot with my beginning harp classes, and because it's a really good test of trying to play repeated notes. And I always think of that heartbeat idea, that the first one's the lub and the second one's the dub. So let's just try playing one note. Lub, dub. Try that, and the whole melody should be phrased like that. And same with the triplets. You don't want to hear those triplets. You don't want those to all be articulated. You want to be. They're almost lighter. It's almost like the first note is the melody. So yeah. So I can't hear you, but just try to be. Think like a singer. I guess that's always a good advice. How would you sing it? You wouldn't go la la la. You're talking about little squirrels and lambs. You go la 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 la. It'll be beautiful and light, right? Okay, so let's try it just with the drone. 1, 2, A. Once again, playing it just unison or single melody is a really good way to start learning it, and you might use it within the arrangement that way too. These are songs, so they're meant to be sung. So if you think like a singer, what's wrong with singing a cappella? Nothing. So now we're going to add this cool left hand pattern. I'm going to show you my right hand so you can see it. Take an A, E, add it, A, E, and then we're going to drop the third finger to a G, and then drop it to F, and then come back up to G. So try that. A, E, G, E, F, E, G, E. Okay, so you got that. So here's my left hand. A, E, 3. So you want to keep that thumb really soft. You don't want to hear this. Yeah, that's the heartbeat. You want that to be. So we're doing that instead of, because it lightens it up and also creates some contra motion. And there's one point where your melody is going to bump into that, so you just skip the note in your left hand, whichever you want. Okay, let's try it. Let's do the pattern alone as an intro. 1, 2, 3, A, E, G, E, F. Again. Here we go on melody and there it runs into each other. And you can also change the rhythm instead of to make the first note longer. Ta, ti, ta. Now some of you are probably looking at the chord symbols going, well, wait a minute, why aren't you going to the E minor chord? And because I don't want it to resolve. I want to keep that circular feeling. It suddenly feels like it's over. So at the end, I would probably go. I would end on the A, or you could end on the F if you want to be more poignant. So you could do normal chords to this too, of course, you know. But keep them simple. You wouldn't want to do anything too fancy. And this piece, it can also be played, well, not as technically a round, but you know, you can start. I guess it is a round. It works. Although we changed a few of the notes when I did it with the group, but you can start like 2 bars later and do it in a round or canon, whatever you call that too. So yeah, it's a really beautiful piece, and it also lends itself to improvisational interlude if you want to do this. I was starting to do that for the intro. With some simple patterns up here, suspend pattern. We could go back to. I don't think it works for this song. It doesn't really say ocean, does it? Although Brittany's on the coast, but yeah. So you decide. As I said, it's not an arranging class, but feel free to use these to, you know, extend them and make them longer and make them a journey for even if it's just for your own technical advancement. So good. So let's move on.
I have a question.
Oh, please, yeah.
Yeah. I really like the bass line idea. That's really lovely and simple. I just missed what you did at the C major part. Did you switch it to C major or did you keep it in that minor?
Oh, no, I kept it minor. I didn't switch it.
Okay. So you kept it consistent the whole way through.
I did. Yes. Yes. It was very repetitive. So, which kind of helps to give it that lullaby vibe. You could, I mean, let's just play it one more time through using the actual chords and you'll see the difference. We'll play that and then we'll go back to the repetitive pattern. So let's try that. Okay. Do the chords as written now. 1, 2, A, G, F, E. C. F, G. And let's go back to the pattern. Yeah, so you might want to do both. I mean, there's nothing wrong with those chords, as long as you play them lightly. He doesn't want it to suddenly turn into you know. It's so easy to just think of 20 pop tunes when you hear that bass line. So that's all. Because it's a lullaby, though, I like it to be repetitive and rocking. You know, so it gives it that instant lilt. So. And also the contrary motion keeps the momentum going. So if there's no other questions, we're going on to, do we have time? Yeah, we're going to rip through these next ones. Breton lullaby with 2 sharps, please. F and C. This one, the chord pattern is a little more difficult. But it's kind of reminiscent of the Pachelbel canon, which is why I included it in this workshop, because it's one of those, again, such a stately, beautiful piece, 4/4 time. This is the lullaby that's in 4/4 time. That's what I was thinking of. That's unusual. And if you want to hear a really slow version of this, check it. I think it's still online. It was Alison Krauss, the great singer, fiddler, and she was doing a rendition of this with Yo-Yo Ma and that bass player Edgar. I can't remember his last name. And when she sings it, it's so slow, and she has this angelic, pure voice with no vibrato, and then they have the instrumental solo, and all the boys like speed up in the middle. You know, they do all that string stuff, accelerando stuff like string players do, and then when she starts singing, it's back to where it was. So I think that's an interesting contrast in male versus female energy. No offense to any of you, if any boys here who are therapeutic musicians, I'm sure you've learned how to not yeah, I don't know. Of course, it's Yo-Yo Ma. He probably figures he needs to show off a little, or people want to understand why he's playing on this really slow song. But she does it like so slow. It's just amazing. I guess the breath control is what amazed me. So check it out. It's just gorgeous. So we'll do it about like this. I always think of, again, I don't want to ruin these for you, but sometimes associations are good. I think of the theme from Jeopardy. I'm not in the right key for that. Anyway, so it's that feeling of tick tock, tick tock. It's a lullaby. You want that feeling of a pulse again. So let's try the chords. You can just play fifth for now. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that repeats. Now B. So I was skipping ahead at the second line. I often do a descending bass line, the B minor chord. I go B, A, G. I go so I'm essentially not playing the E bass at all. So try that B, A, G, and then A, back to G. So try that with the melody. 3, 4. Repeat and try it again. B, A, G, A. In this one, you could do a nice interlude. Go back and forth from D to G. Yeah, so I would keep it really simple and slow. And this feeling, I mean, you could do it. This doesn't sound magical at all, does it? See, and I'm looking forward to that heartbeat. 1, 2. You could subdivide it. There's Chariots of Fire again, so that's a great yardstick. So when you set the metronome, if you're one of these people who needs a metronome like me, don't just set the downbeat, set it to the 8th notes or the 16th notes, and you'll hear it'll drive you nuts. But once you do that for even 10 minutes and take it away, suddenly you'll still hear it. So it feels, and it'll support. You want the rhythm to be supported. And as I said, it's harder to play slowly and play sustaining notes than it is quick notes, because it's a little more ambiguous. When you're playing this slowly, you're bare naked. Everything's showing, and that's why we get self-conscious about just letting our notes ring, because it seems like that wasn't very good. Maybe I should play fast, quick, and cover that up. So it's this feeling of self-consciousness as well. So I definitely want to practice even slower than you plan on performing them, and it really iron out. As you see, I'm making mistakes here because I'm trying to look at the chart and play the chords I showed you, because apparently this is being recorded. I should have just played it the way I never play things the same way twice, so feel free again to change all these chords. But okay, one more piece. We should get to it so we can have some questions and answers time. Yeah, so I mentioned Pachelbel-Canna, and you can do a full-on interlude with this. Here's a way to create, you could create a contrasting part. It's a little too fast, I think, for therapeutic setting, but so these pieces are just like beautiful palettes, little like canvases that you can create whatever you need on them. And so the trick is finding the melody that you respond to, that you think is beautiful, because they're going to take work to get them slow, simple, and beautiful. It takes more work than learning a fast jig, let me guarantee it. So let's move on now to Mogilamir, My Gallant Darling. You can get rid of your C sharps. And Kathleen mentioned the singing. It was a soldier gone away. It's also another. There's a couple of different background stories on this piece, and I guess that was also an ancient poem, and somebody put to music as well. And the darling referred to Era, the symbolic goddess of Ireland. So they're actually singing. It was actually a lament for the homeland. So these were the immigrants who have to leave during all these the warfares and famines they had, and so they were mourning. So my gallant darling, meaning, and also at that time, it's very politically, you weren't supposed to be preserving the Irish culture. They're trying to cancel all that out, right? They didn't want you to be referring to anything pagan or anything, Gaelic or any of that stuff. So a lot of this was code as well. So there's a lot of different meanings. There's also the Jacobite rise and all this. I mean, these songs have long lineage, and they're fascinating. If you like one of these pieces, do your research, and it's a wonderful, what do you call that, thread to follow. Sometimes I get really excited. You find one that has cross reference to another one that you love from two different countries, and it's really great. Or you find some archive of a microfilm of some monks singing in a church, and it's just amazing the resources we have now. The whole Smithsonian catalog, by the way, is archived online now. So if you're into folk music, the world, the riches are yours. Everything's there. So find out what you're looking for if you want to research any of these for your own work, your own repertoire. So this one, 4/4 time again, also very repetitive, and this is one of those asymmetric ones that starts on I guess if you're singing it, you'd call it the chorus, and then the second part is the verse, and then you come back and finish on the chorus. So it goes like this, and I'll do that slowly, and you notice all those confusing chord symbols. It's just a bass line. We're going to go G, and then refer to the second note on the. So if you see a G/F sharp, just play the F sharp. E, play the second note. So it's like a fraction. So it's a G with an F sharp bass or a G with a D bass. I read it that way because that's what it's supposed to, but I know a lot of people makes their brain freak out seeing that stuff. And so just play the second note when in doubt. Okay, so let's try that left hand. 3, 4, G, F sharp, E, D, A, now B, C, D. Yeah, but that's a little muddy to my ear, so I would probably play all this with an open hand and do little, not a muting, but a dampening, just to clean it up a little bit. So gentle cleanup of the strings. This helps the sonority of the harp again. Let's try it. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to stop looking at the music. I know this. You can read the chords. I hope I'm doing it right. Here we go again. 3, 4. Here's the second half. And back to the beginning. So it sounds like many other pieces, doesn't it? But it has that beautiful majestic feeling for it to it. And I also often play this at church services and stuff because it just sounds hymny, even though the words have nothing to do with religion, but it's beautiful words actually. If you find, I think there's a couple of versions of the poem out there. So anyway, that one you can expand that. You can turn it into a big piece, a big crescendo, playing octaves and stuff, or you can keep it simple. This is often used as a last piece in a Celtic concert when there's a bunch of different performers at a festival. They'll sing this, and each performer will take a turn on the verse, and they all sing the chorus together, and it's pretty well known there. So. Yeah, that's the funny thing. I guess I probably should have included some American songs on this, but you all know those already. So, but it's a huge subject. What we're talking about, slow airs. It's and you can take any piece and slow it down. Even an Irish jig, or I've taken, especially the reels, when it's 4/4 time. I've often used those. Because I can't play as fast as the fiddles, and I start doing it slower, and then this is actually a really good melody. I'm going to slow it way down and play it as an air, and so this is another revelation. So if you're not into folk music at all, this is a great resource for you. You can find beautiful things that work in your settings in very different applications of therapeutic music, and or just for your own pleasure as well. Dare to play an air is my motto. There's no crime in playing slowly, even if you're a performer. And I realized that finally, after all these years trying to show off, that I get paid the same for playing slow. So I'm just slowing down in my life now, and people seem to like it even more. I guess what really the difference is, what are you playing? What speaks to your own taste and to your own heart? So we're going to pause now for in fact, that's my farewell speech, and my closing, and now let's just open it up to people. I can see a couple of chats on there, but I don't have my glasses on, so. Kathleen, do you want to read me the chat questions, or do you?
Yes, there's a question there. Are these handouts copyrighted, or can we share them with our small harp circles?
Sure, you can. Yeah, I mean, the songs themselves are not copywritten. Yeah, the chords that they say are my chords, so I just hope they don't think this is the Smithsonian. These are not. This is just my personal version of it, so that's why I keep put my name on all of them. So it's not copyrighted. You're welcome to share them, but again, don't be lazy. If you like a piece, go check out. So there's more ways to play these than just one, and you can certainly do more chord variations than just these. But if you're just reading through tunes together, absolutely, I use them for my harp class all the time. So yeah, they're all public domain. Yeah, unless you'd like to pay me, that'd be cool. But and
there's a comment here from Julie. She says, if you haven't purchased Kim's book called Beauty Tunes, you will love these too. And Julia says, I'm not her agent.
She should be. She's such a good supporter. Yeah, Beauty Tunes is my last songbook I published, and they're not well-known tunes. They're a little bit odd. I purposely went out there searching for tunes that weren't played a lot, at least in this country. So what I need to do next is make a YouTube channel that playing them how they sound, because a lot of people don't know what they're supposed to sound like. But I found most of them online myself, doing all the research and finding 40 versions of the ones I liked. And so if you really liked one, you could find out what it's supposed to sound like. Some of them already, they're obvious, but some of them are more esoteric, less known pieces. So yeah, thanks, Julie. And I made an intermediate level. I know some of my last songbooks have gotten more and more difficult because they were companions to the CDs, and I was trying to write it down the way I played it. But I don't use music at all when I perform or when I record. I play by ear, and then I write it down afterwards. So sometimes they turn out a little more complicated than I thought. But if I wrote it down first, then it would be would be too simple. So you see the conundrum there. So yeah. So
Allie asks, Allie says, I love your song Mender of Hearts.
Oh, Mender of Hearts. Yeah.
Is there sheet music for this? She wants to know.
Yeah, I do not own the copyrights to that particular piece, or if there are copyrights. That one was, I worked for a singer named Singkar. She later went back to her Anglo name, Laurie Drew, I think it was. And she was into the Sikh, the American Sikh. She was American, but and we did this series of mantra tapes together, and Mender of Hearts is one of them. And just beautiful melodies. You can still find them online. They're called the Crimson series, and they're in a Gurmukhi, ancient Indian language, and the whole point of them, when they were supposed to be 30, I forget now, 31 minutes long or something, so that they could do their yoga. They were made for their yoga classes essentially, and they ended up getting really popular. Now they even play like in chiropractic offices and stuff like that. So a lot of people know me only through those pieces, only through those recordings. They don't know my Celtic work at all. So I wish I'd made more money from it, but it was still a wonderful experience. She passed away, so we never got to do any more. We did a series of 4, and it's a really really beautiful piece. The other one that I really like is Guru Ram Das. Don't let the title scare you. It's just beautiful. Yeah, then one that's called Ardas is beautiful too. Yeah, so that's, yeah, sorry, I can't help you with that, but they're pretty simple chord patterns. And one time I did have a Sikh student here. She came for a while, and I think she moved to India now, but she wouldn't sit on furniture. She only sat on the carpet, and she only sat on the floor. I had a rug, and no, she'd bring her own sheepskin to sit on. She played her harp that way, and we worked on some chants and it was really fun for me because it stretched my ear as well. She'd have to send them ahead of time so I could study what she wanted. But and so there's an example. She found the connection. She went back to India. She was going to study the connection between this Indian music and the medieval monks that traveled through India at the time. So this music is a wonderful, crazy journey once you start getting the history of it. So yeah. Anyway, I can't help you with that. Any other questions?
And please feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question, or continue to put them in the chat, either way.
Yeah, so it's always how many people end up showing up? I know a lot of you signed up. Do we have full house or not?
I don't know an exact number here, not a full house, but we've got a big crowd here.
I'm gonna put you in gallery mode. Yeah. Hi everybody. No, I put you in gallery mode so I can see you. Yeah. I see a lot of familiar faces. Yeah. So I was telling Kathleen before we started that this summer I have a back deck, so I for the first time had my harp class in person again after a year of Zoom, or winter of Zoom. The winter of Zoom sounds like the winter of doom, doesn't it? Kind of was. And the first time they started playing, it was a little waltz, just this little Irish waltz called the Gentle Maiden, and they all started playing it. And these are beginners, and I started crying because it was so beautiful. I realized I really, really missed the sound of the harps together in the room, But then I realized they're really out of tune and couldn't play very well, but I still was crying. So it was like, oh my gosh, the power of music. It's not about how well we play or if it's really about the spirit of it, isn't it? So that was kind of a thrill. And we've been meeting all summer long, and now it's getting cold here again, so that's the end of that. Back to Zoom land, but it's what gets us through these classes and this fellowship, And I know so many of you wouldn't have showed up if I'd been there in person, but I hope someday to be there in person as well. That'd be great. So I don't know. It's an advantage and it's a disadvantage, isn't it? This online connection, but. Yeah, but I hope in your real life, in your non-virtual life, that you have a chance to play with other people, because there's nothing that replaces that. Yeah, even if we're back to playing in our driveways again, which we probably will be, but anyway. Well, Kathleen, do you have any closing comments?
Yes, and I see, thanks, Kathy Johnson, for helping me out. We have 32 participants online today.
Amazing.
And Janice shares, this has been a most enlightening class in so many ways. Thank you. And Kathy Johnson says, this has been wonderful, full of inspiration, gentle inspiration. Then we have someone on 26 string harp. So my best way to include the right hand is doing a crossover, she asks.
Yeah, crossovers are great. And remember, you can also play the melody in your left hand. So you don't want to be playing the melody as up high, the tinny. Yeah, I don't have my lap harp handy, but yeah, the cross hand is great. Play the melody either in the middle of your harp, or play the left hand, and you can play descants. So play a little descant up here, a little drone up here, and play the melody down here, and that's also very effective. Yeah, I've been working on a lap harp arranging book, and probably of lullabies, because maybe, I don't know, it might just be beauty tunes for lap harp, because I think it's as I mentioned, we're getting older, and some of us are getting older, and some of you look beautiful and young, And some of you look beautiful and old. And as we get older, not only do I like to play slower, I don't like carrying these big harps around anymore. So I keep gravitating smaller and smaller harps. So I figured in my dotage, I'll be walking around with my little lap harp on my back, playing somewhere scenic. And so that's how I see my future. So that's why I'm kind of starting to focus on lap harp again, because it just makes me happy to play it. It's like this beautiful little, like a kitten on your lap. It's like just a little source of joy. It's not like, oh, I got to turn the 40-string harp, and it's this feeling of lightness. And I remember now why, because when I first got it, I was a pedal harpist, and I got my first lap harp, and I went trudging around Europe with my lap harp. It was such a freedom, this feeling of that I could just sit on a rock, before Stonehenge had a fence around it, and play harp. It was magic. So I say the word magic a lot, don't I? But you know what I mean, right? It's science. It's therapeutic. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks everybody. It's been a joy doing this, and I hope I wasn't talking too fast.
Well, thank you so much, Kim. It's been wonderful.
Again. Yeah. Be safe, everybody.
And thank you everyone for being here. I will be sending out an evaluation form and also the link for the recording, so that you'll have it if you want to view it again. And for those who aren't able to be here in person today, do be sure to fill out your evaluation, because it serves as an attendance form as well if you're getting credit for these workshops, and we love the feedback too. So thank you everyone for being here, and look forward to seeing you next month. I will send out some information about the October session. So please feel free to call or email me anytime if you have questions. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.